As a child, we had it good. Like, I saw it as my parents, they didn't struggle. But, now that I'm older and I hear stories from my grandparents or my uncles, about when they talk about my parents when they were younger, they struggled a little bit. My mom was a nanny for Jewish families. Her and her siblings, there was like 5 of them, they used to share like a 2-bedroom apartment. My dad came out here illegal when he was 13 years old. He just started working. He found he was working for a business company that distributes dough to bakeries. My father was more the good parent. He loved planning adventures. Like he'll be like, tomorrow we're going to Six Flags. Just out of nowhere. He loved doing things with us. I have a lot of road trip memories because of my dad. My mom always liked to laugh. Always liked to make other people laugh. She had this very loud, obnoxious, but a pretty laugh. I can never forget it. She was a very straightforward person. Whatever she had to say, she would say it. Not caring if she hurt your feelings, but she liked to, she didn't come off as just trying to put you down for no reason. She just wanted to tell you the truth so and didn't like to sugarcoat anything. Sometimes I would say she was a little mean to us, but then there's also times where I remember her just being one of those like cool, fun moms. Like she was able to talk to us like a friend. I have a lot of good memories up until I was 13 years old. Sometime in December 2005, we went to a trip in Mexico. A water park. Water slides with my mom, my grandma, my uncle, and his kids. So in total it was 9 or 10 of us, I think. We had a picnic there. The whole day was nice. When it was time to leave, my uncle said, he was like, oh, I only have 1 car. He was gonna make 2 trips to take half of us home and then come back and bring the other half home. But my mom was saying, she's like, why are you gonna do that if literally the house is like not even 10 minutes away? Like, it was so close. Let's just all fit in. So I remember getting in the car. I remember pulling away from the water park. We were debating on where we wanted to go. My mom wanted to visit one of her cousins. But then my uncle was saying, no, let's just go back to my house. So I was saying, no, I was telling my mom. I was like, no, I don't want to go to your cousin's house. Like, it's boring. There's no kids there to play with. My uncle said, you know what? I'm just going to make a left. We're going to grandma's house. After he made that turn, everything was like a blur and like a blackout. I woke up for like a few seconds. Again, I woke up in the ambulance. The 3rd time I wake up in the hospital, confused, because I'm just like, what happened? Like, I'm so confused. There's news reporters asking me my name like 10 times, asking me how old I am. Then that's when I get told by my other family members, oh, you were in a car accident. You got hit by a bus. The driver was drunk. He was on the job drinking. He was an alcoholic. Instead of hitting us and stopping, he just kept going, which ended up dragging the car to hit a building. My cousin, he's the same age as me, he ended up breaking his right leg. I was right next to him, which ended up me dislocating my hip, breaking my collarbones. My 2 sisters were on the left side of me with my grandma. They only got hurt because of like the glass. They only have like little scars. They didn't really get hurt. My uncle, which was the driver, he ended up getting like a fracture on his ribs. My little cousin that was 8 years old at the time, she was sitting on my lap. She flew towards the windshield. So she died. She was the first one to die. At this time already, I had a little brother. He was only 9 months. When that happened, his head hit the ceiling of the car. So if he would have survived, he was gonna have severe brain damage. That's what the doctors told my family. And then my mom was sitting in the passenger seat. The bus hit her from, the right side of the car. She was having internal bleeding because her insides were all basically all popped. But they were like, she was strong. She hopped out of the EMT herself. She said, I'm fine. She kept saying, I'm fine. We're gonna get through this. Don't worry. We're gonna get through this. Just be strong, be strong. She was pronounced dead the next day. I don't really remember what time. It was a little hard, bouncing back from that to being mentally strong. Even though I was on bed rest because I was depressed, I was in my head, I had so many thoughts. What if I can't walk again? What if I'm gonna walk funny after healing like this? When I go back to school, everyone's gonna make fun of me. I wasn't allowed to see my face. Everybody hid the mirrors away from me. Mentally, I felt like I was destroyed. I tried to get help when I came back, I remember. I got counseling. It just wasn't working for me. When we finally started settling back together in the house, everything was going okay. It was still a little tough because we felt like something is missing, a part of us. School started affecting me. I was in high school already at the time, and I felt like I kind of used it as an excuse to not be in school. I just wasn't happy in school, so I would cut school. Because of the car accident, my dad had to go to Mexico back and forth, dealing with lawyers and everything like that. So at the same time, we were growing up basically with no parents. He started falling into a depression. Even though he was always a drinker all his life, he just started drinking more. When he was in Mexico, he would just abuse alcohol more than over here. Because over there, it's nobody knew his situation. Nobody out there would really have the balls to tell him, you shouldn't do this. He would come home drunk. But he never treated us a different way. It's not like he came home drunk and treated us differently. It was always the same thing when it came to his kids. The doctors were telling him, you need to stop drinking because it's affecting his liver. He had to go to rehab. That was the best time, one of the best shapes I saw him, because he looked happy again, and he would tell me, I'm not gonna drink again, I'm never touching a beer, I love being like this. After he would be done with that rehab program, he didn't last that long that he fell back into drinking. Even though it was hurting me and my sisters to know that he was drinking again, we were hiding it from the family. I used to lie for my dad. I'm like, oh no, he's not drinking anymore. Just because I didn't want them to bash him or to yell at him. I didn't want that for him. That's where I noticed more okay, this is how he's handling it, after my mom's death. Even though time has passed, it's still getting to him. He's not happy. There was times where he was just more you know what? I'm gonna just drink. When it's your time, it's your time. So I'm not gonna stop drinking just because the doctor said. So he did a little switch on us, and then it was difficult. I was praying to God. I was just even though my dad's hard-headed, I want him to be okay. So I ended up going to sleep. I go to school the next day. I ended up going to school late. I remember I'm in class, and that's when my guidance teacher calls me out of the room saying I need to come to my office now. So she looked mad. I felt like it was probably something I did wrong. So she pulls me out. She's like, your family's gonna pick you up. Your father wants to speak to you guys, to you and your sisters, because he's really sick. He's not doing so good. Finally, I get picked up. We're on our way to pick up my two sisters, which they were going to the same elementary school. As soon as we're in front of their school, that's when we get a call from one of my other uncles saying that he didn't make it. I didn't even get a chance to speak to my dad when that's what he wanted to do before he died. So,
sorry.
we go inside the school, and I see my sisters, and they're like, "Oh, Michelle, like, what are you doing here?" You know, they're full of life, they're happy. And it just broke my heart to tell them what happened. My dad died in Mexico, so he always wanted to get buried out there. At the time, me and my sisters, we didn't have our passports up to date. Everyone tried to gather money. All the flights to go to Mexico at that time were so expensive that only my older brother and me were able to go to my dad's funeral. From there, it was a little hard to come back to being strong again. It took me like a very, very long time. I just felt like the world ended for me right there. A year after, I felt like it was a little depressing coming home to nobody. Even though I would come home to my sisters, it would feel a little dead, like the house. So I always wanted a dog. Like I always told myself, I want a dog. I feel like a dog would also help me keep my mind off things while I'm at the house. In 2012, sometime around January, my friend texted me saying that his dog had, babies. His pit bull had babies, so I said, I want one. I always wanted a pit bull. Wait, no, now let's stand up. Wait, Nala, stop being lazy. So this is Nala, now she's 4 years old. Whenever I felt sad, I saw that Nala would, she would feel it and she would come close to me and cuddle on me, or she would start doing these funny things like licking my face. So I started just to appreciate that and appreciate life a little more, because I'm just like, even though she's just an animal, she knows what we feel and she tries to comfort us in her own kind of way. I love working out because it helps me become a better person of me. I love feeling healthy. I love feeling strong. I love feeling like I can take over, my problems instead of my problems taking over me.
Hold your head up high, she would want you to, she would want you to, please just don't cry. Hold your head up high, she would want you to, she would want you to.
Compared to how I was before I was more of a shy person, quiet, didn't like to speak my mind as much. After everything that I've been through, I learned to just be more straightforward. After all the losses that I've had, I just learned to do what you want to do. Don't wait for it. If you want to travel, travel. Obviously be smart, but do whatever you want in your life. If that didn't happen to me, I wouldn't be the person I am now. Like, I feel like everything happens for a reason. I believe in God a lot. Like, He gave me the best parents, I could have ever asked for. And like a great little family with my sisters and my brothers. I like to come across people that have gone through similar things. And there's a lot of people that I would come across and they would feel so upset, or they would want to hurt themselves, or they don't want to do anything with their life. And me, I'm just like, no, you use this as an opportunity to just be a better person. Like, even though I'm hurting, my new job is to show them that life is still going and I have to move on and just keep going, keep going.
más?
¿Qué más?
No, yo te pregunto, ¿qué más?